on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. Hope you're all well on this Monday. And listen, lots to talk about. I've obviously been away for just over a week, although I was back yesterday. So I'm sure I interacted with a lot of you yesterday as we did the England watch-along. That's 120 minutes that we'll never get back, people. Absolute snore fest of a game. But for those of you who weren't in the stream yesterday, thank you for the birthday messages last Monday. Had a great trip over there in Miami and Orlando. And yeah, I'm back in this cold weather on July the 1st. Hope everyone is well, though. We're going to talk Arsenal. It's funny, when I went away, I'm thinking, you watch Arsenal go and sign all these players while I'm on holiday. And I'll be thinking, damn, that's a whole heap of content that I've missed. I've come back and they've done nothing. They've signed no one. They've sold no one. And nothing has really changed. But one thing I have learned over the years with transfers is usually when it's quiet means the work is being done. I'm sure Arsenal will be negotiating transfers in the background. I'm sure players will be leaving. And I'm sure players will be coming into Arsenal Football Club at some stage this month. Obviously, pre-season starts in just over 3 weeks in terms of the US tour. The actual preseason itself, I believe, starts at the end of next week. So it's a bit of a crazy one. But I do honestly think that profit and sustainability has stopped Arsenal and a lot of other big clubs from doing business, because I've never ever seen a transfer window this quiet in June. I've never seen it. You know, we've all seen big deals happen at clubs in this stage of the summer, and this June nothing really major has happened. And as I said before, it's all to do with profit and sustainability. If you do the deal on July the 1st or afterwards, it counts for the new season. If you did it in June, it would have counted for the previous season when we'd already spent £200 million. I don't actually think it's just because of the Euros, because we've seen big deals happen during the Euros. We've seen big deals happen during the World Cup. I do think it is this profit and sustainability. Clubs can't go mad because they're gonna get done. So listen, let's hope we see deals get done this month. Hey, everyone stay safe, man. I know there's a hurricane at the moment swirling around the Caribbean. So hopefully everyone stays safe with that. Big up the Twitch gang as well. LSU said, I've been telling you this. See, January showed you what was coming. Yesterday's price is not today's price. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, bro. It's a difficult window, but now there's no excuse. There's no excuse. The club have to get serious now. Let's just talk briefly about last night. We did the watch along, and listen, I suppose the one thing you'll say in the end, it was an entertaining game. Maybe not for the reasons that England and Southgate would have been hoping, but for a watch along in the end, we got some entertainment. I'm focusing on these two players, of course, Arsenal tax, and that is Declan Rice and Saka. It was interesting. Southgate really should have been sacked this morning. But Jude Bellingham saved his England career as a manager. Also saved his reputation, because getting knocked out to Slovakia in the last 16 ends his career as any sort of top manager. Not that we think he is a top manager, but crazy enough, the guy's been linked with a Man United job. So not only has Jude Bellingham got England through, he saved Southgate's career. How poor are England, by the way? How poor are England? Just briefly, a couple of things. I just want to say happy birthday to Salman's son. He's put it in the chat. Shout out to my son, Ramses. Today is his 6th birthday. He's fired up. Happy birthday to him, bro. Hope you have a great day. Someone said there, Bro Cruz is nice with the basketball handles. Yeah, was playing basketball in Orlando, man. He loves basketball, man. You do find, don't you, in general, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate, when you're good sportsman, of one sport, say football or whatever, you can usually play other sports quite well. It's like natural coordination, is it kind of connects. Yeah, man, basketball, to be honest, is one of my favorite sports. I absolutely love basketball. I'm actually enjoying all the trades and stuff more than football at the moment. Paul George going to Philly and Russ, I think, is going to leave as well. So I'm a massive basketball fan. I will add basketball on this channel at some stage. We will get there eventually. And big up Unknown C, bro. Hope you're well. He's gifted 5 Curtis Shaw TV memberships. Really appreciate that. Just to say as well, by the way, I will be back on today at 20 to 5 UK time. I haven't listed the stream yet, but I will be doing the France v Belgium watch along tonight or later on this afternoon UK time. So it isn't listed yet. Within 5-10 minutes of me finishing this stream at 3 o'clock, I will list that, and I'll be back on at 4:40 p.m. for France against Belgium. Probably the biggest game of the last 16. Obviously, Saliba, Trossard. As I said before, I'm not promoting betting, but I have put some money on the French to win the Euros, and they're not playing very well. So I'm keeping an eye on my investment. So yeah, we will be live for that at 4:40. So get yourself involved in that one. Should be a good one. Saliba apparently is going to start again. But just briefly on England. Southgate is a strange manager, He's a really strange manager because I look at this England team and I think this might sound a bit crazy what I'm saying, but England could win the Euros. The standard is not that high. I'll be real. The competition has not been that great. There's been some exciting games and some goals, individual quality. The 2 Spanish wingers have been great. Musiala's been great. Toni Kroos, 1 or 2 others. Xhaka, funnily enough, has been brilliant. But there aren't that many played. There aren't that many teams. The French have looked bang average. Portugal haven't looked great. Germany look like they can concede goals. Spain probably have looked the best team because guess what? They keep the ball better than anyone else. You can't get the ball off them. Even them, they went 1-0 down and had chances against them as well. There's no one in this tournament that looks unbelievable, to be honest. You're spot on, Rastaman. The small teams have provided good football. You look at teams like Georgia, Switzerland, and I'm not calling Switzerland a small team, but they're certainly not one of the favourites. Those teams have been exciting. Big up Mujib Ahmed, who said it's my birthday. Have a good birthday, bro. Blessings to you. Big up Julian as well. Julian from AFTV, I know he's been locked in. It's his birthday today, so big him up as well. What a character he is. If England set up in the right way, I genuinely think England could get close to winning this. But they won't. They won't because of Southgate. Let's talk about a few individuals. And I could sit here talking all day about nearly every player in that England team last night. Kyle Walker. That's the worst display I've ever seen from him in an England shirt. Now, we might get away with that because he's won trebles, he plays for Man City, he's rapid. Kyle Walker, for me, needs to get dropped. If Trent put in that performance for England yesterday, he'd be arrested. The amount of hate that guy gets. And some people have said to me before that I overrate Trent. I'm aware of the fact Trent is not an elite player defensively. He's not. What he is, he's elite on the ball. Kyle Walker isn't elite on the ball. And he's not elite defensively. Let's be real. Kyle Walker is a decent right back with absolutely insane recovery pace. It's got him out of trouble for the last 10 years, right? Now, the recovery pace isn't happening. He's 34. Naturally, you're going to fade. He should get dropped. He should get dropped. He's not that good on the ball. His recovery pace isn't that good. What is the guy in the team for? He doesn't link up with Saka, really. He's just playing his own game. Get him out of the team. He's not good enough. Pep tax again, bro. Hey, K Hayes, stay safe, bro. Stay safe over there in the Caribbean. Hurricane Beryl is coming Grenada and St. Vincent. Please, but hey, I hope everyone's safe, man. But Kyle Walker needs to get dropped. Trippier, Stinky player as well. Stinky player. Southgate's decision to bring Luke Shaw as an unfit left back is just, that's sackable in itself. The goalkeeper and the two centre-backs, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about them. I mean, not great either. You go into the midfield, Declan Rice, he ran his socks off. You know, he was okay. It wasn't great, but he ran his socks off. I thought Mainu had a good game. But when we go into the front line, Phil Foden. Chesney out of Coronation Street without Pep. Now, I'll give him one defence. You ain't a left winger. Nobody in this chat, I don't think, would say, you know what, let's play Foden left wing. No. Why would you? But the guy is stinking out the place. Bill Bowden, bro. Premier League Player of the Year. Stinking out the joint. First of all, why did you not take Rashford? Second of all, if Anthony Gordon's the left winger with pace that you believe is the answer, then play him left wing. Don't play Phil Foden. He can't play left wing. He's terrible. On the left, Phil Foden is absolutely terrible. Let's talk about Saka on the right. Saka's not playing well. I'll always defend the Arsenal players, but Saka's not playing well either. Saka, to me, benefits from a good system. Arsenal have a good system. England don't. So I think you're seeing a worse Saka for England than you're seeing for Arsenal. But then, who do you play on the right? Am I getting to the point where I'm saying drop him? Palmer came on. I don't think he played well. Saka went left back. Actually, probably played better than he did right wing, as crazy as it sounds. And when you look at it, Camavinga played left back for Real Madrid. So, Saka played left back quite a lot at Arsenal when he first came through. I think Saka's under pressure on the right, I'll be honest. Something ain't right with that England attack in general. There's so many players playing poor, it's the system more than the individual. You then look at Bellingham. Now, Bellingham scored goal of the tournament possibly yesterday. He's the ultimate clutch player. Like, I call Trossard clutch. Bellingham is the most clutch player in the whole tournament. He is clutch FC. He doesn't even do that much in the game. Somehow he scores the winner, and he's that guy. He's got that aura. A man's in Ballon d'Or nominations and that. I've watched Bellingham so many times this year, and I'm going, boy, is he really all that? And then he bags, and you're like, boy, the celebration's iconic. He's got aura. 20 goals in a Real Madrid shirt. Boy, it's hard to sort of... You can't really argue with what the guy is producing. How he gets there is the question. He's got PR massively. But at the end of the day, it's a tough one with Bellingham. It is a tough one with Bellingham. I suppose ultimately you've got to look at it and say, he's 21 years of age. He's just scored 20 goals for Real Madrid. Won the Champions League, won La Liga, wore Zidane's number 5 shirt, created an iconic celebration. He's getting England out of the mess. It's like... Some players are moment players. There are players that will boss a game, Xavi's and those guys, who were on the ball 24/7. And then you get a guy that every now and then pops up with a winning goal and maybe gets you over the finish line. So I am a big fan of Jude Bellingham. I think he's a bit of... I think Jude is almost a representation of the modern game of football. He's an athlete. He's got fantastic PR. He produces numbers. He's not necessarily the biggest eye test player. He's not Ronaldinho. He's not Zidane. He's not those guys. But he will get you goals. He'll win you games. His quality is undeniable. I got to be honest. His quality is undeniable. The goal was incredible. Harry Kane, I mean, honestly, I don't know what's going... Listen, the one thing I'll say about Harry Kane, Kane is stinking out the joint up front. Honestly. Harry Kane is stinking out the place. I think Foden is possibly the worst of them, personally. But Kane's stinking out the place. Okay, he gets away with it. He scores the winning goal. But who in their right mind picks Harry Kane and has wingers with no pace? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, Kane benefited from Son playing left wing at Tottenham. He benefits from Sané and Coman at Bayern Munich. You've picked him up front. And you've got Saka, who's not that quick, who wants the ball to feet. And you've got Foden drifting in off the left, trying to get central. So when Kane does get on the half turn, he's got nobody running in behind. It makes no sense. It makes no sense the way England have set up. Now, they play Switzerland on the weekend. If they play like they played yesterday, they'll be in Marbella by Sunday afternoon. If Southgate's brave enough to change things, they've got a chance. They've got a chance. There's still enough quality there. And as I've said before, Portugal weren't that good when they won the Euros. Greece weren't that good when they won it. You know, it's like Man United winning the FA Cup this season. They weren't very good. They got a good draw. They stumbled to the final. They managed to produce one good performance, beat Man City. They lifted the cup. England are capable of beating Switzerland. Switzerland are good and they're well organised, but England have more quality. But if they don't set up properly, they will get beat and sent home. I thought Ivan Toney influenced the game. I know I was capping for him a little bit during the stream. He comes on, he sets up the goal, he offered a bit of presence. Okay, he had the shot that went over, but, you know, he was on the pitch for, 20 minutes, half an hour. Set up a goal, got a couple shots off. I think he should get more game time, but they love Kane too much. Trixie said, we get Maguire out of the team and we get more Bozo. Yeah. No matter what people think, football is about partnerships. Football is all about partnerships. I've spoken about this before, but they spoke about Vincent Kompany, how him and Jerome Boateng didn't play well together for Man City. Boateng ended up becoming a real top centre-back. But when they signed Lescott, that partnership with Kompany was better. Now, individually, the guy Boateng is better than Lescott. But partnerships. So you just throw Mark Guy in next to Stones, that's not necessarily going to be a great partnership. For me, Rashford, Sterling, Grealish, at least one or two of those three should have been in this squad. But listen, we'll be there. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. We keep ticking over England, but I don't think they can maintain that level of performance. I think they'll, but they can beat Switzerland. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, Switzerland will batter England. If Southgate's brave enough to change things, they can beat Switzerland. But if they're not, they'll be home. They'll be in Marbella by Sunday. Bro, the disrespect towards Tony by Southgate is mad. He's a coward, mate. He's a coward. Oh, I can't take Kane off. He's the captain. Get him off. Man brought Tony on for 2 minutes. He's lucky it went to extra time, bro. He really is. He's lucky it went to extra time. Anyway, enough of that. Enough of that. Let's talk Arsenal. Been away for a week. Let's talk about Arsenal. Let's talk about this, man. I want to know if this is a picture you want to see next season. For those of you listening in rather than watching, we have a picture of Jadon Sancho in an Arsenal shirt. RSPC Arsenal. We've done it a number of times, people. We go out there in our Arsenal van. Edu, Arteta, they get the big net out and they go and rescue a stray dog with fleas, try and clean it up and recover it and turn it into that nice house dog, that Labrador, that staff. What do you guys think? Now, a report yesterday came out, Manchester Evening News. Jadon Sancho's agent has informed Premier League clubs that Jadon Sancho would be available for £40 million. Manchester United would not stand in the player's way and would allow him to join a Premier League club even if it is considered a rival club. They want him off the wage bill. Sancho currently makes £300,000 a week and has 2 years left on his current contract. Dortmund do not look like they are going to sign him on a permanent deal due to the huge wage demands and will instead try and get him back on a loan deal. Manchester United are keen to sell him to raise funds this summer. First poll of the day, people. More polls than an ATL strip club. Would you sign Sancho for 40 million? Yes or no, people? Now, I'm going to give you my my total thoughts on this. And then I want to know what you guys think. Get your comments in. I'll get them up on the screen. The first problem is the wage for me. And I know we're not accountants and I shouldn't worry about the money. The wage is too high. You can't make him the top earner. However, he's a good player. He's a good player, man. 40 million in this market doesn't get you a lot. Arsenal apparently want 50 million for Eddie Nketiah. So 40 for Sancho isn't bad. The problem you've got, I want to talk about other players in a minute. If you can get Nico Williams at 50, are you paying 40 million for Sancho when you can pay 10 million more and get Nico Williams? Or I just kind of think the whole package, the way he plays and what he hasn't done in the Premier League, it's a tough one. Like somebody said there, Tottenham are about to spend 30, 40 million on the brother from Leeds. What's his name? Archie Gray, who's championship baller. 40 million on paper for Jadon Sancho is somebody that you could get something out of for 40 million. You might get him to become a good player. However, I just think there's too many question marks around the deal. I didn't like the Havertz deal. I'm still, to be honest, and a lot of people won't agree with this, I'm still not completely happy with that Havertz deal. I know some people have changed their mind and said, oh, I'm happy with him now. I'm still not totally comfortable with the fact we paid 65 million for Havertz and gave him 275 bags a week. I still don't think he justifies that deal. There should have been a reduced price. There should have been a reduced wage if you were signing a player like that. You should have got him for 40 million. You should have given him 180 grand a week. You gave him his exact same wage and paid top dollar for him. Sancho, for me, I wouldn't sign him. But if you could reduce the wage and maybe you could get the price down even lower, because I think Man United are desperate to sell him, it's not absolutely crazy to get him. It wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal signed him. Let's just say it that way. This deal screams out Arsenal. Bargain, rescue mission. You can see how they would PR this deal. The one thing I will say about Sancho, though, he's very good at keeping the ball. He's a possession-based winger, which I think Arteta would like him more than somebody like Martinelli who loses the ball a lot. Sancho is very tidy on the ball. But is he a game changer for Arsenal? I suppose as a squad player. Listen, I'm very conflicted with it. I'm leaning more towards I wouldn't sign him, to be honest. Yeah, we're on the sales rack in TK Maxx. Because my problem with Sancho is big wages. You haven't done it in the Premier League. So do you have a problem in this country? Or is it a Man United issue? He didn't do anything at Man United. Yeah, he looks good at Dortmund. Maybe he suits the Bundesliga. So I think there are better wingers than him to be going for, to be honest. That's where I'm kind of at with it. I actually think Jadon Sancho is a good football player. I'll be honest. I think he's a good football player. And I agree with Salman. I think Dortmund is his happy place. Mental health career, I hope he stays in Dortmund. I think that's his happy place. He suffered with mental health at Man United. It's a serious issue. He struggled in the Prem. The wages are massive. I think there's a talented footballer there. I really do. But I think it's the wrong player for us. There are some people in the chat saying, I don't rate him, he's washed. And so I actually think Sancho's a good player. I just don't think he's what Arsenal need right now. I want Arsenal to sign a winger that is electric. I don't want a tidy possession-based winger that will get us about 7 goals a season. I want somebody that makes you sit up off your seat at the Emirates, that makes you throw the remote around because he's rapid and he's scoring goals and he's ripping up fullbacks. I don't want Jadon Sancho. Keep Sancho at Dortmund. Keep him in his happy place. The Bundesliga. I don't want the rescue mission. That's not the one for me. That's not the one for me. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to hold both hands up. I'm surrendering, people, on this one. I don't know if I'm getting caught up in the Euros hype. I don't know. And I don't like Euros hype. We've seen Euros hype. El Hadj Diouf in the World Cup, actually, in the early 2000s, got that move to Liverpool. James Rodriguez. I don't know if this is Euros hype. I was not convinced by this guy pre-Euros. But what I've seen during the Euros, and if anybody thinks I'm wrong, pull up in the comments and tell me to relax. I'm here for it. I'm open to what the community says. But I'm watching this guy play for Spain. I'm saying pay the damn money. Because I don't know about anybody else. He's been one of the best players in this Euros. I'm seeing 90 plus pace on FIFA. No need for a hunter card, nothing. Rapid. Do you know what? I'll be honest. I watched him a few times last season for Bilbao. I came away from them games thinking, I don't know about this guy, you know. I'm not sure. He's very inconsistent at club level. Maybe international football suits him better. I tell you the thing that worries me about him, though. You look at the teams that they've been playing, Spain, that they're playing a high line. I don't know how this guy would operate against Brentford with 10 players behind the ball, or against Forest with... Do you know what I mean? He's a space player. He needs space. I just don't know in a low block how he would operate in the Premier League. Michael, bro, when I tell you, look what the OGs are saying at the moment. Ronaldo, R9, my favourite football player, you know. He doesn't want to watch football anymore. He's watching tennis. Ronaldinho said he's disgusted with this Brazilian team. The most entertaining footballer ever. There's no individual quality out there. So when I see a little hint of it, somebody who can drop a shoulder and just go past the fullback, I start going crazy. Musiala, I'm going wild. Yo, this guy, oh my God, look how Nico Williams dropping a shoulder. Back, straight past it. I'm going wild. He's so fast. I'm getting hyped over players that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, these men were probably impact players off the bench. You'd use Nico Williams off the bench, 20 minutes to go, run at a tired fullback. But that's where we're at right now, people. The wingers don't take on fullbacks anymore. That's the reality. Look at Grealish. Sometimes I watch Grealish play. I think my TV's got stuck. Man's stuttering. Man gets the ball and just stutters at the fullback. I'm like, yo, has my Sky crashed? What's happened? He's actually doing it. He stutters 5 times, then gives the ball to Rodri in midfield. That's modern wingers. Saka's a system winger as well. They don't rip fullbacks apart anymore. Mane and them guys there, they were the last of that generation where they're ripping fullbacks to pieces. So let's end the first poll. And I want to know what you guys think on this. Is this Euros hype? Or have you seen enough to say, listen, pay the damn release clause? I'm getting excited, but I admit it could be Euros hype. So would you sign Sancho for 40 million? 55% say no. 45% say yes. That's a lot closer than I expected. That's a lot closer. Now, my second poll of the day. Would you sign Nico Williams for £50 million? Would you sign Nico Williams for 50 million? I'm keeping it a buck. I'm paying it. I'm paying it. Do you know why? Because we haven't got enough pace in the front line. And do you know what? Man City paid 50 million for Doku. And Doku's not that good either. But he's rapid. He's dangerous. And you know what? Williams is 21. You've got to try and develop him. I'd pay it. 50 million is peanuts. That man paid 88 million for Mudryk, and he's garbage. I would pay 50 million for this guy. I would pay it. He's too quick. He's too direct. You can work with that. If you're that good as a coach, why do you think Pep signed Doku? Doku is the complete opposite of what you would think Pep Guardiola wants. He's rags. He loses the ball. His end product's not great. Pep said, listen, man, that pace at that age with that much potential, I'm working with it. Now, there's a few problems here. There's a few problems. Number one, Barcelona are all over this deal. There's not many times that a top Spanish player will leave La Liga without going to Barcelona or Real Madrid. So if Arsenal, for example, came in and dropped 50 million on the release clause and said, listen, we're going to pay the wages, he still might turn around and say, I'm not leaving Spain, bro. I love it here. You know, Barcelona are apparently desperately trying to raise funds to get this deal done. So I don't know if we can even get him anyway. However, Barca are in financial problems at the moment, so maybe you get the deal done before they even figure out how to get that money on the table. Arsenal have been linked with him a few times. My advice to Arsenal would be, if this is the player you want, you pay the release clause quickly and you get him in. I'll be honest, I don't like signing players purely off international competitions. I have watched him a few times at club level. He's inconsistent. I don't think he's amazing against a low block either. But I would take a chance. I'll be honest. I would take a chance. He's so quick, so direct. He goes past fullbacks like they're not even there. He's 21 years of age. He's got something that we lack, people, and that's the ability to go past fullbacks. We haven't had it for a long time. Pepe was frustrating at it. Martinelli went backwards last year. Trossard's a fantastic player. He's not that quick. Saka's not great at taking on fullbacks. We need somebody to add that element to our attack. We don't have an attacking player that's good enough at that. I would take the risk. I would take the risk. I think there are other wingers you can look at as well. I'm not saying he's definitely the one. You know, people spoke about Neto and others. Neto's a bit injury prone, but I do like him. Kvaratskhelia, is it? I mean, I think he is absolutely fantastic, by the way. The problem you got with him, there's no release clause in his contract. So you're not getting him. You're just not getting him. You only sign players from Napoli when Napoli say, we're selling them. Or when there's a release clause there. If that's not the case, you ain't getting him. You're just not getting them out of the club. This guy's got years left on his contract. He's got 3 years left on his deal. You're not getting him. You're not getting him. You have to absolutely smash the bank up to get him out of there. Maybe, I know PSG have been linked with him. Maybe they'll spend big money on him because Kylian's gone. Conte, like you said, has just gone there. So I don't think you get him. Maybe next summer after, he may become available. I think he's a fantastic player. He's looked brilliant for Georgia in this tournament as well. And Conte, listen, he's not going to walk through the door and let a player like that go. For me, get Nico Williams. Get him. 21, rapid. 50 million is a cheap price in this window. And we need a winger. We need a winger. I think it would be a sensible signing. As I said, maybe I'm getting a little bit caught up on Euros hype because individual quality is lacking so much. But he's just breezing past fullbacks like they're not even there. He really is. Kvaratskhelia would kick Martinelli and Trossard out. Yeah, they'd be done if he was there. He's better than both of them. OGD said, don't do it. Nico is Spain's James Rodriguez. Don't pay that money. Kudus is in the league and adapted. I think the issue with Kudus is he'd probably cost 70, 80 million. And also, where do you play him if you sign him? Yeah, you can bring him in as a squad player to put pressure on Saka. Maybe you put him on the left. He's on 200 grand a week as well, Nico Williams. But you've got Havertz on 275, so why can't you pay 200 grand a week? Listen, I'd take Kvara over Nico. I'll be honest. I'd take Kvara over Nico, but it costs you 100 million. And I just don't think they'll let him go. Napoli are one of the hardest clubs to sign players from. This guy's got a release clause. You don't need to negotiate anything with the football club. But yeah, listen, I'm still not completely sure we will sign a left winger. I think they may stick with Martinelli and Trossard, but we'll see. Zeke said, big up Big C in the community. Typical transfer time for us, not in our Guam roundabout settings. Something has to happen, man. Something's got to happen. Yeah, Kvara, his agent, has been moaning. He has. Nico Williams needs space. This is what we do not have playing against most teams in the Premier. You're right. And that's what I said. Against a low block, he probably wouldn't look as good. How good is that Lamine Yamal, by the way? I mean, listen. I know his finishing is not elite, but 16 years of age. I mean, that's got to be Mahrez's son. He plays like Mahrez. He just drifts onto that left foot and he's just breezing past people. Honestly, those two Spanish wingers are what football needs at the moment. Like, I'm looking at them like a rescue mission. It's like Phil and Grant Mitchell in EastEnders, like, beating up somebody in the pub who's messing about. Like, we need those players. And I know I bang on about this, and maybe I'm just getting older, people, and I've got to move psychologically with the modern generation and understand what the game's about now. It's a lot more about being an athlete, being quick, being strong than it is about technical ability. But we can't go away from that individual brilliance. The reason we all love football so much is because of individual brilliance. The reason we love football is individual brilliance. When I was a kid, young striker, I used to watch videos of Romario. The way that guy finished. I said, yo, this guy, R9 Ronaldo is my favourite footballer. He's the best striker I've ever seen. I think he would have been the GOAT of football if it wasn't for the knee injury. Ronaldinho. I've said this to everyone who watched him. I used to run home to watch this guy play. He used to play football on a Saturday. Spanish football, sometimes the kickoff was about 5:30. I used to sprint home. I've got to watch Ronaldinho play live. Because you know he's going to do 5 or 6 tricks in that game that make you jump around your living room. I watch games now and I'm like, okay, yeah, Lukaku's missing from 5 yards. Okay, I'm watching England. Left winger, left back, centre back, right winger, centre mid, back across. Harry Kane's in defensive midfield. Saka's at right back or at left back. And I'm like, I'm literally bored of it. It's boring. It's boring to watch. So Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams and Musiala and this new generation that at least they say, yo, if I get the ball, I'm just going to take you on. We need those players. We need them. We can't go away from them completely. As I keep saying, Pep's a gift and a curse for me. Pep has created a style of football that's so dominant, everybody's copying it. No one's as good as him at it. So he dominates football. And what we're doing, we're losing individual brilliance. We're losing it. You look at the Man City team, they've been the best team in the Premier League for a decade. How many players in that team individually are absolutely at the top of their game? Kevin De Bruyne doesn't get near the Ballon d'Or. You know, Haaland, yeah, he was in the conversation, but he plays like a robot. Jack Grealish, we all wanted him when he was at Villa. He goes to Man City. Grealish is a boring winger to me. Yeah, he keeps the ball well, but he's boring to watch. His game's gone downhill. Listen, he's got money in the bank and trophies in the cabinet, so he can't argue. But that's a system-based team. It goes through Rodri, it inverts. Individual brilliance doesn't really thrive as much under Pep's system at Man City. So I love these individual players. Big up Southern Goon, he said, at this stage it looks like Havertz to lead the line with 1 or 2 signings, 1 major splash. The other will be a filler. To loaning out players we can't sell with an option to buy. You know what? At the moment, that feels nailed on. Havertz, to me, if you said to me now, who starts the first Premier League game of the season up front, I'd say it'll be Kai Havertz. I'll be shocked if we buy a striker. I think they totally changed their mind in typical Arsenal fashion. they were going to buy a striker. They saw Havertz form at the end of the season and said, we'll buy a young striker like Sesko. They didn't get Sesko. And they'll keep Jesus and they'll keep Havertz. And it wouldn't even surprise me if they kept Eddie. Especially if you're asking for £50 million. He ain't going nowhere. And I'm sorry, and I don't want to be, you know, the bearer of bad news, but you don't win a title with Havertz up front. You just don't. And people can say, yeah, but we scored 90 goals last year. It doesn't matter. It's not just about how many goals you score. It's about scoring goals at big moments in big games. Havertz isn't doing that. You saw it the other night for Germany. Zidane-esque turn, one-on-one with the goalkeeper, chips it wide. That sums up Kai Havertz. It's not his fault. He's not a natural striker. Strikers have something that is born into them that you can nurture, but that natural instinct, you can't learn it. You can't be a centre mid and just become a striker and start banging goals in. Every now and then it happens. People say Thierry Henry, but Henry was a winger. He played up front when he was younger. He was quick. Wingers and strikers are not too dissimilar in the positions they take up and the way they finish. Havertz is not a natural goal scorer. You don't win a Premier League with Havertz up front. I'm convinced of it. It just don't happen. The only way you might get away with that is if you had a Salah and a Mane out wide who are going to score you 25 goals each. Liverpool won a league with Firmino up front getting 10 goals because their two wide players scored 20 each. It's not happening at Arsenal because Saka doesn't score 25 league goals. Martinelli doesn't. They're still young. They're still developing. I'm very concerned about this window. And I know a lot of people are saying, yeah, but no one signed anyone. It's only July the 1st. There's plenty of time. I'm worried about the message that's being fed out by the media. All of a sudden, doesn't look like we're getting a striker. I think we're probably going to buy a centre midfielder for some decent money. We'll get a defender. We'll get a backup goalkeeper. Maybe they'll get a winger if the right one pops up. But I just don't know if that's enough. I don't know if that's enough. I always think with Man City are here. We're here. We're not far off them. We'll do our transfer business, get here. Man City will do their transfer business and get here. That's all we do. We're just trying to play catch up. We never actually go, City have done their business, we do our business and get ahead of them. That's what it feels like with Man City. One step forward and then they take it, and you're constantly playing catch up. They've got to do more. Curtis, has Martinelli stopped being good because you don't sound positive about him? Anyone who's watched this channel for a while, a year ago, Martinelli's one of my favourite players. Now, I still rate him. I still think there's a big talent there. I'm worried about the lack of development I saw last year. You know, when we got Arteta, people said he's unbelievable with the wingers, what he did with Sterling and Sané. But Martinelli, this is a massive year for Martinelli. This is a huge year for Martinelli. I almost think it sounds crazy. It could be make or break year for him at Arsenal. And that's crazy to say, but if he has another season like last season, I don't think we can afford to. We can't treat him like a baby. And I love Martinelli, but we can't baby him. He's 23. He'll be 24 by the end of next season. So we can't treat him like an 18-year-old and say, yeah, you know, he's got time. No, if Martinelli has a season like he's just had, by the end of next season, you've got to be open-minded then about replacing him. If he has a better season, then no problem. We say, okay, it was a bad season. He's recovered and he's improved and he's back. So I think this is a huge year for Martinelli. Martinelli, for me, pace, direct running, dribbling, can finish. The game intelligence is not there. And that worries me at the age of 23 if you're not that clever on the ball. Because, again, as I said, in the Prem, you're going to play against a lot of low blocks. And to make that work, you need game intelligence. And Martinelli at times lacked game intelligence. And I just think we can't wait forever for that game intelligence to turn up. It's got to turn up now, really. Arsenal can't give 2 or 3 years for a winger to go through the motions. And then again, you've got to question the manager. You know, why Why is he not improved under the manager? I said last year, left wing is one of the hardest positions to play in this Arsenal team. Because you look at what Saka's got on the right. He's got Ben White on the overlap. He's got Odegaard tucked over. So there's a triangle there. How many times do you see Saka, Odegaard and Ben White link up on that right-hand side? They turn up as a 3 on that right. You play left wing for Arsenal, mate. It's like being in the middle of a desert. Your left back's inverting into the middle of the park. Your centre mid ain't coming near you. Xhaka used to link up well with Martinelli when he was there. But we don't do that now. So you're very much left alone by yourself. Now, you've got to be really good to make that work. Martinelli last year struggled. Martinelli is good, but he's plateaued at the moment. I would listen to offers if it meant I knew we were going to get a better. It's a make or break for most of the team. You're right, bro. You're right. Listen, Martinelli is still a good player, but we need, in every position on the pitch, we need to be looking at a player where we say, you're a fantastic player. We got to look at who we're competing against in the Champions League and in the Premier League. Real Madrid are going to have Vinicius Junior, Kylian Mbappe, Rodrigo as a front 3, Jude Bellingham in the 10. They're the levels we have to aspire to be at if we're going to win major trophies. Or similar or in the same category. You know, Man City will strengthen this summer as well. So we got to go big. Martinelli probably does suit the Bundesliga. Counter-attacking league, high lines, he would look unbelievable. Premier League low blocks requires a different skill set. And at the moment, he's struggling to develop that. I wouldn't give up on him yet. I'd give him one more season and see where he's at. Arsenal have to be cutthroat, people. We haven't got time to babysit anybody. Even if they're your favourite player. One bad year, we'll let that slide because of injuries and bad form. 2 bad years, you either become a squad player or you're getting sold. That's the only way. Would Pep accept 2 bad years? They're talking about selling Grealish. Pep don't give a damn. One average year of Grealish, yeah, on your bike, mate. He'll get rid of him. That front 4 is scary. Yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's a cheat code. When the new FIFA comes out, everyone's going to be running to pick Real Madrid. How do you compete with that front 3? If it clicks, it's insane. Sidorf said Martinelli is mostly to blame. Good players develop their game, improve it. He hasn't done it. You're right. He has to take some responsibility. He plays at one tempo, Martinelli. Everything's at 100 miles an hour. He's got to learn to play at a slower pace sometimes. And how many times I said, lift your head, lift your head. Man runs with his head down, runs off the pitch. It's got to improve. And Lawrence, you're right. He said the issue is 2 bad years. Your value is completely tanked. Yeah? Yeah? You wouldn't get the money that you should get for him or that you could have got for him. JK said Martinelli's probably our best finisher. People want him. So, listen, I am not sitting here saying sell Martinelli. I'm saying give him one more year. There's no point being... I mean, you're saying he's our best finisher. I'm not sure he is, to be honest. I would still argue maybe Trossard's a better finisher than Martinelli. I think Martinelli is a very good instinctive finisher. So when he doesn't have a lot of time to think and he just maybe slots it in, he'll score. Very similar to how Theo Walcott used to be. When Walcott had time, he was a terrible finisher. When he got put in and it was just finish, he could finish. I think Martinelli is an instinctive finisher. I think Trossard can actually finish even with time and space most of the time. But he's got to do more. He's got to do more. Football, unfortunately, has become a game now where if you're a winger or a striker, you've got to put numbers on the board. In reality, unless you're like a Bobby Firmino and you're an unbelievable link-up player, you play left wing for Arsenal, you've got to score goals in abundance. And in reality, if you look at the last 3 seasons, I will leave the 2 before that because he didn't play a lot. 21-22, he played 29 games and scored 6 goals. That's not enough, right? 22-23, played 36 games, got 15 goals. That's quality, you know. Last season, he played 35 games, he got 6 goals. That is not good enough. That's not... If he gets a similar season to that, then we've got to ask questions. If you can get Kvara from from Napoli, or you can get somebody else. You've got to be open-minded. You know, that's the reality. Got no time to fanboy these players. 2 bad years, bro. You're on the bench, or we're listening to offers for you. Let me see what you're saying about Nico Williams in the poll, people. 84% say yes. You're all sold, man. The pace, the direct running, £50 million release clause. It's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? Because I just look at Nico Williams. I think, okay, 50 million quid. Even if you're not that player that we're seeing for Spain, you're an unbelievable impact player with that sort of pace. Imagine playing right back, and you're playing against Martinelli, and he's having a good game, and then you're bringing on Nico Williams. I mean, it's a long day at the office, you know, or if Trossard's playing and you're bringing him on, I would take him, but I'm just concerned. He probably, from what I've read, it looks as if he stays or goes to Barcelona. A lot of the talk seems to be he wants to stay in Spain, so I'm not sure we'll get him anyway. But if you're a serious club, you pay the release clause. Barca might not have the money to get him. He wants 300 grand a week. I think you could get him for less. He's on 200. You give him a big signing on fee. Maybe you can give him 240, 250. Havertz on 275. What was Havertz doing when we signed him? Absolutely nothing. And we gave him the highest wage at the club. But put him in the situation. Put him in the situation where he has to reject it. Because let's put it like this. He might be at Bilbao saying, well, I only really want to go to Barca. But if he ends up in a situation where stay at Bilbao or go to Arsenal, he might take Arsenal. Because Arsenal are better than Bilbao. Fabricator said next Saturday, Granit will make 3 lions into 3 young cats and feed them milk. Wouldn't surprise me the way he's playing. Trixie said Saliba and Gabriel was years in the makings. Southgate doesn't realise this. Can't just wave a wand. Yes, please, on Sancho. You know, I've been saying this. Trixie likes the Sancho to Arsenal deal. And you're right. Going into a Euros and just going, oh, you know what, Trent, play centre mid. Oh, yeah, good one. Trippier, go at left back and do me a job. Yeah, how's that going to work out? Oh, Foden, I know you've never really played left wing, but get on the left wing, will you? Oh, yeah. Man's experimenting in a major tournament. It's absolutely insane. Would you start Saka at left back? I think his versatility can make a difference. I would take Sancho. Just lie about the starting time of training. Saka can play left back. Yesterday I was saying it felt disrespectful. It wasn't disrespectful because he was at left back. You're not like oblivious to being put in a different position. Camavinga played left back at Real Madrid. He's a fantastic player. What I felt was disrespectful was it felt like that didn't even come from Gareth's own mindset. It came from, oh yeah, Ian Wright said Saka can play left back. You know what, mate? Should we put Saka at left back? It was like, come on, bro. Are you even thinking for yourself at this point? Saka can't complain. Saka, let's keep it 100. I'm an Arsenal fan. I'll protect Arsenal players, but I'm also here to tell the truth. Saka played better at left back yesterday than he did right wing. I'm keeping it 100, people. I'm keeping it absolutely 100. He actually looked comfortable at left back, going forward on the ball. Obviously, he's quality because he's a winger. He's strong. The game's in front of him. It was different. Who says it? I mean, I'm not being funny. Trippier is a poor left back. He's probably a better left back than Trippier. So, listen, if he played left back in the next game, I don't think it would be the craziest thing. The guy came through as a fullback at Arsenal in the first team when he came through. Why couldn't he play left back? Kieran Trippier is an absolute bang average player. Bang average. Not that quick, not that strong, not left-footed. 33 years of age, he's bang average. Saka's probably a better left back, and he'd probably start there. Wouldn't surprise me if he starts there. Or they might play 3-5-2 and play him wing back. And then he could play Palmer or Jared Bowen on the right, who may be a bit more direct. Alberto said, need to get rid of players that are not going to help us. Players like Smith Rowe and Eddie have to go. Sorry, this is Arsenal FC. If Eddie and Nketiah's at Arsenal next season, it's an absolute disgrace. I'm sorry. If Arsenal price him out of a move by asking for £50 million, it's ridiculous. Just a player that you mentioned just there is Emile Smith-Rowe. And it looks as if he's on his way. Charles Watts reporting Arsenal will be open to offers for Emile Smith-Rowe this summer. Being linked with a move to Fulham. It's previously been linked with the likes of West Ham and Newcastle, but Fulham appear to be front runners. Arsenal want around £40 million. Again, doesn't make sense. How are you asking for $50 million for Eddie Nketiah, but you'll take $40 million for Smith-Rowe? Smith-Rowe is a far better player than Eddie Nketiah. It's as simple as that. So I don't understand those price tags. First of all, Eddie should be worth $25 million at the most, and that might even be Jamaican dollars. But yeah, ESR for me, I'll be honest, and it could be striker tax. Yeah, if ESR leaves, I'll be disappointed. Do I understand it? To a point, yes. My thought process on Smith-Rowe is sell him if you're upgrading him. If you're not, then you keep him. That's my opinion. If Smith-Rowe gets sold and Arsenal don't bring in a quality attacking midfielder, I don't understand this deal one bit. I said before, listen, if you sell ESR and you buy Eze, no problem. You sell ESR, you get Xavi Simons, cool. But if you sell ESR and you're telling me that Fabio Vieira is the backup to Martin Odegaard, I've got a serious problem. Because Fabio Vieira has done nothing at this football club. Absolutely nothing. A good long shot against Brentford and a decent pass to Gabriel Jesus against Man United that most of us could have played with our eyes closed. Fabio Vieira has done nothing at this football club, yet he costs 35 million, yet there's no talk of selling him. Why is that deal not questioned? The deal was an absolute shambles for Fabio Vieira. I still don't understand the guy's purpose at the football club. Smith-Rowe got 10 goals that season, probably kept Arteta in a job. He then had an injury-prone season, and last season, most of the season, he was fit, and he just sat on the bench doing nothing. And the managers just wrote him off and said, no, I've had enough. So maybe those two don't get on. He doesn't seem to talk about him with that sort of enthusiasm that he talks about other players. I feel like those two don't get on. I really do. I feel like they don't get on. I think it'd be a shame to see him leave. As I said, for me, if you can sell him for 30, 40 mil, you go and get Eze for 60 mil, I've got no problem because I feel that's an upgrade. But I don't trust Arsenal to do that. Arsenal will probably sell Smith-Rowe and not sign anyone. So I don't know. 34 mil down the drain. Vieira's on the bench again. That is, for me at the moment, one of the worst signings we have made. And again, I don't think Fabio Vieira is a bad footballer. You can see that he's all right, but he's not a Premier League player. He's not a Premier League player, you know. It felt like a brown envelope deal, you know, when you get to the end of the tax year and you need to balance the books. It feels like they did that. Oh, let's spend 35 million on this guy. Crazy. Absolute crazy. Fabio is one of those work permit Wenger deals, one of those players we would never see. We really don't need to see. We don't. Wenger used to buy him all the time, didn't he? Park Chu-young, Mertesacker, Yossi Benayoun. He was like, what the hell's going on? You know what I mean? We'd be in the top four and Wenger signing players. And you're like, what? Porto must be absolute. Porto are sitting there thinking, right, if we wait another 6 months, we'll get this guy back on loan with an option to buy. They'll probably end up buying him for about 12 million. The clubs must laugh. Joel Campbell was actually decent at Arsenal for a season. I don't know where he disappeared to, but for 1 year he was decent. Vieira should be good in La Liga. Yeah, La Liga, slower league, not as physical. I actually don't think Fabio Vieira is a bad footballer, but Arsenal absolutely stinks. You don't understand, Curtis. Fabio Vieira is going to come good. All he needs to do is work on his strength, passing, speed, and work rate. Edu, you've done it again. Yeah, apart from that, he's got everything. He's got the lot, mate. He's not quick enough, not strong enough. Doesn't get on the ball enough, doesn't score enough, doesn't create enough chances. Apart from that, he's absolutely flying. But hey, man, Smith-Rowe looks as if he's on his way out. Somehow, Smith-Rowe will go. Eddie will end up staying. You can just see it. 1.6k in the chat, 282 likes. BBL Drizzy, that like button. They're not like us, people. They're not like us. Don said Curtis, Jamal, Neto, or Saka, who's starting on the right wing. I hate that question. In fact, I go as far as to say I despise the question. I despise it. Because the answers that are running through my head are not the answers that I should want to say as an Arsenal fan. So I don't know. I'm going to stay away from it. I'm going to stay away from it. Listen, Yamal looks like he's going to become an absolute superstar, to be honest. He does. It's a tough one, isn't it? Because football's so stat-based nowadays that most people would still play Saka because he puts numbers on the board. Yamal got 5 goals last season, but if you're talking about technical brilliance and what that guy does, he looks like he's going to become an absolute icon of world football. That's the reality. He's 16. How are you that good at 16? But football's strange. The only thing I would say, right, and I'm being totally honest here, football is strange because we're looking at Yamal now and we're raving about him because he's 16. But football doesn't always work in the way we think it's going to work because we're looking at him at 16 and going, bro, if you're this good at 16, what are you going to be at 21? Football doesn't work like that all the time. Sometimes you get worse. I think the best Wayne Rooney was when Rooney was about 18, 19. The best Michael Owen was when he was like 19, 20 or 21. You know, some players are at their best at a younger age because they're fearless. They haven't been coached as much. They're just free spirits. So football doesn't always work like that. And let's be real, Saka has done a lot. Saka has done a lot at Arsenal. He's not the ultimate street baller and things like that, but you know, he's been in high pressure situations. He's carried Arsenal on his back at times. He's taken penalties in a Euros final, you know, been racially abused and had to fight back. So listen, do you know, like Yamal has all the potential to become an absolute superstar player. He's silkier, he goes past fullbacks for fun, but you haven't had to deal with what Saka's had to deal with. You're a young player at Barcelona that's being given the freedom to express yourself. Saka's had to play in teams that are 8th, where their best strikers left. The fans are calling for the manager. You're trying to carry the team on your back. So give Saka his respect. And Neto, I like Neto, but what has Neto really done? Neto's an exciting player, a fantastic dribbler, but what has he had to deal with? The guy plays for Wolves. He doesn't start for Portugal. Where's the pressure? Pressure changes things in football, people. Yamal looks like he's going to be an absolute world beater. But let's let him prove it before we give him that crown. I've seen Saka produce for Arsenal. But Saka's become very robotic, and I think that's what people are getting bored. I said a long time ago, right? I said a long time ago, Saka could end up playing central. I'm telling you now. I think Saka could be a very good attacking midfielder. He could even end up being a fullback. I don't know if Saka ends up being a winger for the rest of his career. I think he could play attacking midfield very well. Central areas, got a bit of pace, can shoot on his left foot. I still don't think when he gets the ball and he's a fullback, I just don't think he has the mindset of a winger. I don't see it when I watch him play. I think he could be an attacking midfielder, or he could end up playing at fullback. And people saying disrespect, it's not disrespect, bro. Genuinely not. I was just defending the guy. I'm talking about his style of play might not make him a long-term winger. He may end up drifting more central because then he has the whole pitch running different directions. And that's not to say he can't play on the wing. No, I don't. I'm sticking with Saka. I'm sticking with him. But listen, of course, Yamal, man. I'm not blind. The guy looks incredible. But you've got to do it before I give you them ratings, bro. But he's doing it in this tournament. So you ask me the question in a few weeks, could be different. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with Bakayo. Last little story before we get out of here, people. And again, this doesn't look good for the academy once again. Rowe Walters and Cozier Dubry have both left Arsenal following the expiry of their contracts. Now, apparently Cozier Dubry was offered a new deal and rejected it. Crazy, because he was on tour last year and got game time in the US. A year later, rejects a new contract, released on a free. Just a quick reminder, actually, that Amari Hutchinson is set to join Ipswich for around £20 million from Chelsea. Arsenal are set to gain £3 million out of that deal as part of the sell-on clause. All these young players, Rowe Walters, Cozier Dubry, Chido Obi, all look like they're walking out. What happened to Hale End, man? Hale End's meant to be producing players and making the club money. These guys are walking out. I don't get it. I think the problem is a lot of these guys don't see a route into the first team, so they walk, they go elsewhere. Maybe that's something we have to work on, or are they good enough? I don't know. That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Vieira should... No, I read that one. Vieira should be in La Liga. I think he'd do well there. People, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to get out of here. Couple errands to run. I'll be back in an hour and a half's time. I haven't listed it yet, but I'll list it in the next 10 minutes. We will do France against Belgium. Kylian Mbappe against Lukaku. Saliba against Trossard from an Arsenal point of view. Let me just read out these super chats. You see Rose getting his wig split. Where's 50 Cent? I haven't even seen that. I'll have a look. Big up here, Ace. And Sam Bond said, no surprise here. Super Mick gave them the ultimate middle finger at PSV away. Already qualified for round of 16. He took them and gave them 0 minutes. And if you was their agent, you'd be saying, that's it. Time to get out of here. So more young players leaving. But let's see what happens this year. Hopefully Waneri and co don't end up walking out the door as well. Thank you very much for your time. Hit the like button, subscribe. Hope to see you all in about an hour and a half time. We will do the France against Belgium watch along. If not, I'll be back at 2 p.m. tomorrow with more Arsenal content. Take care, everyone. I'll see you all soon. Bless.